Hello everyone, Dr. Farooq Rathore again, and now I'm going to discuss briefly about the use of artificial intelligence and big data in neurorehabilitation. Before I start, I have to make a disclaimer that I have no affiliation or financial involvement when any of the product and devices that I'm going to discuss in this presentation. The names of the product and devices and the picture that I will use are only for educational purposes, and I do not particularly endorse any one of them. There are three main learning objectives of this presentation. First of all, what is big data? What is artificial intelligence? I'm going to describe this in detail. What are the different sources for big data? What are the types of AI? And what are the current uses? Then I'm going to describe application of artificial intelligence in healthcare and particularly in neurorehabilitation using example and pictorials. And then I'm going to end my talk by discussing certain challenges of using AI and what are the future directions and what we need to do as rehabilitation medicine physicians. Big data has been defined in different ways. I'll keep it simple and I'll try to make it more palatable for you. So in simple words, big data is large, it is coming in fast, and it is very complex. And it is almost difficult or impossible to process this kind of data using the traditional methods. Some data scientists also describe big data in terms of volume, and they say that any amount of data that exceeds a petabyte is big data, and a petabyte is equivalent to 1 million gigabytes. There are three main characteristics of big data that we need to understand: volume, velocity, and variations. Volume means that the amount of data is huge, and one might say that this data is increasing day by day. Velocity means that not only the data is huge and large in number, it is coming in at a very rapid speed. And you must have heard that people say that the world data is actually doubling and tripling after every year. And it is also true for healthcare. Another important aspect of big data is the variation. So it is not only one kind of data that is coming in, it's a very variable kind of data. So these three V's make up big data. Now, coming to medical science, the major sources of big data in medical science could be registries and biobanks. So there are many registries for different kind of diseases, mostly based in Europe and Northern America and other developing world, where they have large databases of a particular disease, having the information about hundreds and thousands, and in some case more than a million patients. So it's a huge amount of data. Similarly, biobanks have samples from patients and genetic information of millions and millions of people. This information cannot be expressed, or this information cannot be collated using the traditional methods. Then observational cohort, and the biggest example probably would be of the Framingham study, which has been going on for the last 70 years. It's a huge amount of data having many parameters. Then electronic health records, millions of patients, they visit hospitals all around the globe, and many hospitals in the world now have electronic health record system, which means a large amount of patient data is being generated every day. Then the patients are themselves also generating data. I'm going to discuss this in detail, but even our smartphones, they have many sensors, and they can actually check many of the things, simple things like maybe heart rate, the pulse, the amount of steps that we take. And there are then other medical sensors or medical wearable devices that the patient can wear, and that device sends the patient data to a central database, which means that the patients are themselves also generating a lot of data that can be collected. So this is a huge amount of data which is variable, increasing day by day, and it comes under the umbrella term of big data. Now, considering the big data in neurorehabilitation, we need to understand that the world population is increasing day by day, which means that at the same time, the burden of neurological diseases like stroke, spinal cord injury, childhood disabilities, multiple sclerosis, polyneuropathies, and many other neurological disorders is also increasing day by day. And now there are a huge variety of diseases and disorder in neurorehabilitation that physicians in rehabilitation medicine have to see. And because we have a better acute neurocritical care system in which the mortality associated with neurological disease is on the decrease, but at the same time, patients with neurological diseases are surviving more and more, which means that there is now an increase in the disability related to neurorehabilitation and the need for these kind of interventions. And then we know that we are using a lot of rehabilitation devices, interventions we'll talk about the sensor, devices, robotics, and all of these are generating a large amount of data. This data comes under big data. So how can you make sense of this huge amount of 3V data? So one of the tools that one can use to analyze and make sense of this big data in healthcare is by the use of artificial intelligence. Usually whenever you mention the word artificial intelligence, most of us, at least myself included, we think of the famous Terminator movie by Arnold Schwarzenegger, in which, like, machine have their a conscious of their own, and they're going to destroy the world. But we need to understand that artificial intelligence at present, it not even near this level of evolution. Basically, artificial intelligence is actually development of computer systems. These are systems, right, and algorithms that are capable of performing tasks that require human intelligence, such as decision making, object detection, and solving complex problems. Artificial intelligence has also been defined as study of intelligent agents. So what are intelligent agents? Usually we think that, like, robots are intelligent agents. Yes, they are one of the intelligent agents, but we need to understand that any agent or any device that can perceive and understand its surrounding, analyze, and then accordingly take appropriate action to maximize its chances of achieving its objective is a intelligent agent. And yes, one of the prime example is robotics, which I'm going to discuss in detail. Before we move on, we need to understand that many of us in the developing world think that artificial intelligence is something that is not related to me. So it is something that is only available in developed world, maybe Europe, America, and Japan, and, like, technological advanced countries. We need to understand that artificial intelligence is already available in every sphere of our personal lives as well. I'll quickly give you some example to make it more clear. Many of you have your open up your phone with your face ID. This is based on an artificial intelligence algorithm that you utilize every day. Then whenever you browse your social media, certain posts are suggested and certain posts and topics are not suggested in your feed. How is it happening? It is based on the analysis of your social media habits using an AI algorithm. Then whenever you start typing anything, any terminology in Google search, sometime it actually gives you a prediction that is this the word you're looking for. It is based on Google predictive search algorithm, which are based on AI. Then speech recognition is very common. Alexa of Amazon, Cortana in Microsoft Office, and Siri of iPhone are prime examples. They are your assistant in your phone in which you can communicate with them and they do certain tasks for you. Then the chatbots and voice to text recognition, all is based on artificial intelligence. Almost every one of us uses Google Maps whenever we are lost and we want to navigate, again based on artificial intelligence. You want a ride sharing app like Uber, Cream, and Lyft, again based on AI algorithms. E-commerce, banking, and shopping both are heavily based on AI algorithms. So the point is that AI is already part of our daily lives. Probably it's time that we start exploring it further and see how can we integrate this in our clinical practice as well. How can we make the best use of this technology that is now available to many people around the globe. So there are different type of AI. Some people classify artificial intelligence into 7 types, but I'm not going to go in detail. So let's stick to the types of AI which are relevant to healthcare. So there are 4. One is machine learning, and a part of that is deep learning, natural language processing, NLP, physical robots, and robotic process automation. Now I'm going to only describe these in a little bit detail because of paucity of time. I can't go in very fine details, but I'm going to give you an overview that what do they mean. So machine learning is basically analysis of structured data, the data that is structured, and it might come in form of images, it might be genetic data, and it might be electrophysiological data in form of EMG, EEGs, visual evoked potentials, and many other things that me and you do as a rehabilitation medicine physicians. And it is applicable in situations where machines can simulate human minds in learning and analysis, and thus they can work in complex problem solving. And we know that the healthcare is becoming complex day by day, and sometimes it is not possible for a single person to process this huge amount of data and make sense out of it. So machine learning techniques, which is a part of AI, can help us. It is of 3 types: supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and semi-supervised machine learning. I will not go in detail because of paucity of time. Natural language processing is basically centered around the computer's ability to understand, analyze, and generate human language. So you can say in simple word, it is the analysis and extracting the information from the unstructured data. And unstructured data could be like clinical notes that we make on a daily basis. That could be written notes or could be electronic notes or maybe simple medical journals and the research that is published in different kind of journals in different kind of forms. And then these NLP extract this data from the unstructured form and then feeds into a machine learning process to make a sense of that data. So basically NLP analyzes unstructured clinical notes on patient. It can prepare reports, transcribe patient interaction, and also conduct conversational AI with the patients. So far, artificial intelligence has been used in healthcare in the following arenas. It helps you make better clinical decisions. Why? Because it integrates a lot of information from different sources into one algorithm. And that algorithm actually then analyzes a lot of data in order to make a clinical decision, which can actually help the physician. It also improves the accuracy of diagnosis, and this is very much applicable and being done in the field of radiology because radiology is based on the analysis of large amount of scans. So not one eye can actually scan millions of scan and analyze them, but AI can do that. So it helps in improving the accuracy of diagnosis, and it has also been applied in accurate diagnosis of cancer as well. It can also help in better disease prediction in certain condition. It also can help you automate or augment the work of clinician and staff. Many work that we do is actually sort of like work that is not very clinical, and it is not like in a sense something that can be actually done by someone else if given a choice. So artificial intelligence can help you do that work and increase your productivity. Artificial intelligence can also help you create personalized treatment option or what we call precision medicine for your particular patient. Because please remember that most of us we treat our patient taking the average patient in mind. But many patients are not your just average patient. They require a personalized kind of treatment. So artificial intelligence can actually analyze that data about the patient and give you an algorithm based on that particular patient, which can help you provide a precision medicine or a precision based rehabilitation service. Millions of electronic medical records are being generated every hour all around the globe. And if you integrate AI in those EMR, it can help you make sense of that data. It can also help reduce the dosing errors because many a times the wrong dose of the drug or the that particular thing is administered because the doctor cannot write well, but this thing can be actually picked up by the AI and it can correct it as well. And all of us have probably seen the videos of robots doing surgery, either in the same room or they are being controlled by surgeons who are based thousands of miles away. It is all based on artificial intelligence used in healthcare systems. So coming particularly to the use or an application of artificial intelligence and neurorehabilitation. Again, I'm going to sort of focus more on the robotics, the physical robots, because these are the things that we can see every day, and these are the things that have gained traction in the last couple of years. And everyone, at least in my part of the world, is asking about these. What is the role of these rehabilitation robots in neurorehabilitation? So the simplest of this application of AI is the use of sensors. And again, the same thing. Please remember, a sensor is not something that is alien to us. A simple smartphone has more than 10 sensors integrated in its functionality. And many of these sensors, like for example, accelerometer sensor, the pedometer sensor, maybe the pressure sensor, the gyroscope sensor, these are the sensors that can actually collect very useful data about the patient and relay it to the main central hub. And this can actually help you see whether your patient is mobile, not mobile, what kind of exercises he or she is doing, and whether he or she is at a higher risk of fall. So all these things can be integrated in your neurorehabilitation protocols. The advanced form of sensors are again many. For example, this is by gyro motion. So this is a very simple sensor which actually helps you in regaining balance. And not only it assesses your balance dysfunction, it also helps you regain your balance by doing certain exercises. The data is collected and it then can be analyzed by using certain softwares. So this is Tymo by gyro motion. PABLO is a lower extremity pedometer. Again, it's a very simple motion sensor which you can wear on your feet like this using a strap. And again, this is by Tyro Motion. It can help you collect a lot of data about the patient who is having a neurological dysfunction and maybe having a gait disorder, maybe the amount of step that he or she is taking, whether the amount of steps are equal on the both side or not, whether there is a problem with the acceleration and deceleration, and so much amount of data can be conveyed to the rehabilitation professional using this variable sensor PABLO. Then moving forward and using the robotic technology. So robotic assistive technologies are the intelligent devices that use sensors to monitor human movement and position, and then use this feedback in order to interact with the patient to change their direction or their strategy. Again, Locomat by Hokoma was probably the first robotic assisted gait training device in the world. Yes, it is very, very costly, but in some cases it has shown to improve the functional outcome. And just look at this picture. Look at the amount of data that it collects and then it relays to the main server. And look what different kind of information you can actually gather while performing gait training for your patient. It is not possible if you are doing a simple manual gait training. Erigo is a robotic tilt table. Many of us are already familiar with the tilt tables, which are very useful for patients who are bedbound or patient who has spinal cord injuries, tetraplegia, or who cannot move around. But this Erigo robotic tilt table is sort of, you can say, a next generation tilt table, which is based on, again, robotic AI. This can be used in acute care setups as well, in ICUs as well, and it actually helps patient with different kind of neurological and orthopedic injuries who are bed bound to start moving within their bed and start using their legs even if they are unable to move out of the bed. Erigo Pro was approved by the FDA back in 2014, and it comes with integrated functional electrical stimulation. So it is the next generation of robotic tilt table which also integrates functional electrical stimulation to patients who are bed bound, who are in ICUs, or who are not able to walk around for long period of time. Diego is by Tyro Motion. It is an arm shoulder robotic rehabilitation system. As you can see, it can also include element of virtual reality, which is again a part of artificial intelligence in which the patient performs certain movements using their hands or their feet. It is displayed on the screen and the patient then makes certain changes by seeing it in the virtual camera. Hand dysfunction, especially in peripheral nerve injuries, in stroke, multiple sclerosis, quadriplegia, is a major challenge. And many of the occupational therapists and physical therapists are very challenged and they're very frustrated when the patient does not gain much improvement even after long period of therapies. So Amadio is again a finger hand robot, and as you can see, it also integrates surface EMG, and just see the amount of information that Amadio can actually gather and relay to the central processor. It can do the range of motion assessment, it can do the force assessment, spasticity assessment and treatment. It offers movement therapy like continuous passive motion machine. It trains you in sensitivity and kinematics. You can integrate serious gaming in it. It also performs surface electromyography. So imagine the amount of information that these robotic rehabilitation devices can generate, they can collect, which can later on be used for analysis as well. So these are the advantages of integrating AI-based robotic system in clinical practice. Again, a very complex system known as Harmony upper limb exoskeleton, and the important thing is this Harmony upper limb exoskeleton, it is actually, it uses both arms. So many of the exoskeletons that were designed earlier for the use of upper limb were only of the single affected arm, but human beings are bimanual. We use both our hands, and in many cases we require a coordination between both hands in order to perform a function well. So Harmony upper limb exoskeleton offers this kind of service. Computerized exoskeleton, again based on the robotic AI, have revolutionized the way a paraplegic can live. So even complete paraplegic with Asia A are able to walk around using this kind of robotic exoskeleton. This is the most famous and the first one by Argo Industries, the Rewalk. Hyundai, which is basically a car manufacturing company, also came into this, and they have started making their own computerized exoskeleton. This is Hall, the hybrid assisted limb. It is a robotic suit that was launched back in 2009, and this gives a lot of sort of hope for people with quadriplegia, patient who cannot even move their arms. Using this hybrid assisted limb, which is a robotic exoskeleton based on the AI algorithm, can actually stand and move out. So this is how technology is changing the way we see the world. Trexo Robotic Exoskeleton is specifically available for children, and this is very interesting. This is Pepper. It is a humanoid robot. So this humanoid robot can actually talk to the people. It can respond in different languages, and in this case, actually, this robot is leading an exercise session for the elderly in Japan. And this is right now in the not in the commercial making, but these kind of humanoid robots can be used in order to transfer a totally paraplegic or quadriplegic patient from one place to another place. So this is how technology is being integrated. Brain computer interface is also very important and coming up rapidly. So many people with neurological diseases like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, spinal cord injury, or stroke may become tetraplegic. They might be unable to speak or locked in. So, but using a brain computer interface, many individuals have actually achieved online screen typing and point and click control of tablet apps. So this is all possible because of brain computer interface. So this is usually how the brain computer interface looks like. But recently, couple of years back, the first wireless BCI was launched and successfully tested in two patients with tetraplegia. So this technology is moving forward at a very fast pace. Amputee patient have a lot of upper limb amputee have a lot of issues with appropriate prosthesis, and now artificial intelligence and robotics are being integrated into this field as well. So 2 years back in the New England Journal of Medicine, this article was published, which was a case series based on 4 people who had a transhumeral amputation, that is amputation above the elbow joint. And in this, the researcher, they implanted a bone anchored self-contained neuromusculoskeletal prosthesis, which is also known as neuroprosthetic. It had both sensory and motor component. This is the most important thing. The prosthesis that we usually use only has a motor component, but this prosthesis had a sensory component as well, and there was a bidirectional communication between the prosthetic hand and the electrode, which were implanted in the nerves and muscle of the upper arm. And basically the patient were able to perform almost all activities of daily living over a time period of 4 to 7 years when this article was reported. So amazing things are happening. But at the same time, we need to understand there are certain challenges of using artificial intelligence in neurorehabilitation. Number one, there are very few professionals in the world who have both the clinical and programming proficiency of artificial intelligence and insight into machine learning, and who are comfortable with using robotics. Number one, the cost of technology is very, very high. And that's why it is mostly available only in the high income countries. And almost all the research on robotic rehabilitation, artificial intelligence in healthcare, and big data in neurorehabilitation is actually published from developed world. Then patient acceptability is a major issue because not every patient is very comfortable in using these kind of technologies. Then there are certain ethical concern. If a physician takes a decision, he or she is responsible. What if artificial intelligence takes a decision and that decision harms the patient? Who will be held responsible for that bad decision? And since a large amount of data is being collected at a central place, who owns the data? What about the data breach, and what about the data security? So there are privacy issues with the data management as well. So the summary of the presentation is that the world is changing very rapidly and moving ahead at a fast pace. And technology is the main driving force behind this change. It is important for each one of us, at least the rehabilitation professionals, to keep pace with the latest trends and update their knowledge. Medical data information is increasing and becoming complex day by day. The use of patient application and wearable sensor technology is also increasing. And there's a need to harness and use this data for the betterment of our patient having neurological illnesses. So the use of big data, integration of artificial intelligence in healthcare can improve the accuracy of diagnosis, delivery of services, prediction of disease, and functional outcome in these patients. The take-home message is what Professor Davenport said. Artificial intelligence systems will not replace human clinicians on a large scale, but rather they will augment their effort to care for their patients. Perhaps the only healthcare provider who will lose their jobs over time may be those who refuse to work alongside artificial intelligence. Thank you very much. If you need the copy of presentation, feel free to email me and explore my ResearchGate and YouTube channel. Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.